Hi, this is Rob from Golden State Tactical. Today we're going to talk about how to install the Bullet Button Convertible into your lower receiver. The Bullet Button Convertible is designed to be used instead of having to take your bullet button out when you go out of state. You're now able to set it into 3 positions so that you can leave your bullet button in the gun and use it both inside California as a fixed magazine, and then by pushing the button itself to drop the magazine when you're outside the state of California. Now, in order to do this properly, you've got to install the bullet button. There's some tips and tricks to make that happen. First and foremost, you want to take the parts of the bullet button. Let me explain those to you. You've got your large spring, your small spring that goes inside the cage, the bullet button cage itself with the beveled edge small hole, the large hole, and the set screw hole here, the bullet button nut, the set screw, and the Allen wrench. In a minute, we'll talk about the value and usefulness of the Wonder Tool in helping you install the bullet button. First and foremost, you're going to want to take your set screw and place it into your bullet button cage to knock off any anodization that in the manufacture process, there is sometimes anodization on the inside of here, and you want to knock that off and make sure that this travels freely through your bullet button cage in order to make it easy to install later. And you'll want to take it until it stops, back it off a little bit, tighten it a little bit more, back it off, and then knock off the anodization until this travels all the way through. With that being said, we'll set this aside and we'll move on to the next step. You're going to want to preload your cage because you're going to be taking two springs, and you're going to be compressing them at the same time, and that might be difficult for some of you, but you're going to want to preload your spring. And the easiest way to do that is by taking the cage and the small spring and placing it into the cage itself, lining up your bullet button nut into the cage, and then holding it down and compressing it a little bit with your thumb, while you then line up your Wonder Tool slots, and you're going to place your Wonder Tool in there and compress it down. Now, the reason you want to do this is you need to create some surface area. Let's see if I can get that to line up and then push down. You want to create some surface area with your finger to be able to tighten this nut down while it's inside of your gun. So with this preloaded, this is ready to install into your lower receiver. Next, we've got to take your lower receiver. We've got to place your your mag release cage into the lower receiver. Once you've done that, then you want to take your spring, and you're going to want to drop your spring inside there, and then take your cage, preloaded and being held together, and you're going to want to drop that down inside your receiver. Notice my thumb is now released while my fingers hold the mag lever in there. Take your thumb and push down on the cage so that you can relieve some of the tension on this stud, and then begin tightening your nut on your lower receiver and your bullet button cage. By tightening the nut, you're installing it onto that stud. And by installing it onto the stud, you're making it so that you can, when you let go, you're not going to have any problems and it's not going to go sailing away from you. We're going to tighten this down just a little bit more so that it doesn't become a problem for us. You're going to want to take your Wonder Tool, tighten it down just a little bit more. You can even use your Allen wrench to get it to tighten down a little bit. And if not, that's what's going to happen. Your nut's going to come out of your cage. So again, you want to tighten this down as best you can, and preloading it tends to be the easiest way. So we'll take this, we'll drop it down in here like this. Push it down in there. And then you're going to want to tighten this as you go. So you're turning it now. If you notice here, I'm turning and pushing at the same time. I'm actually taking that nut and screwing it onto the stud. And as I continue to screw, it finally catches, and now I can screw it until it's flat on the stud. Now what I mean by that is you want it to be flush. If this is the nut and this is the stud, the nut has to go down until it's flush with the top of the stud and even straight across. Not too far down, not far enough, but flush with the top of the stud. That gives you the right tension on here. So you want to make sure that that's flush with the top of the stud. That being said, this should now travel freely on your nut. Notice here, there's the stud, and my fingers can actually touch the stud and move that lever. That's where you now install the set screw. Set screw gets installed, and you take that set screw and you screw it all the way in until it stops. By screwing it all the way in until it stops, you're putting this into a fixed magazine position. All the way in until it stops. You're going to keep screwing as far as it'll go. Now once it's in its set position, no magazine will drop out of this bullet button, out of this little receiver. It's not going to move, it's set. Now to become California legal, you'll want to back this off 5 revolutions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when you push this down, you still can't touch that stud, and you won't be able to move the lever. And I'm pushing this down, it's not moving that lever. But you use a tool, you push on the lever drops. Now to make it California illegal, but outside the state of California, you're going to unloosen it 4 more turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you want to make sure that that's flush. I actually went 5, so let's get that back down in there. So now, when I push on this lever and drop that, the magazine's going to drop without any problem. That's how you install a bullet button convertible. Thanks a lot. This is Rob. Bye now.